Hi everyone, I'm Debbie and today I'm going to walk you through this month's product insights for Xperience by Kentico. In this demonstration, you're going to see how the product is being designed to be faster and easier to use so that we empower marketers to be able to do more for themselves, to enable them to centrally manage and reuse content for their MVC sites as well as headlessly for their external marketing channels, such as single page applications, mobile apps, social media platforms, and indeed anywhere they want to go in the metaverse. And to be able to leverage all of this within the digital marketing features within their ecosystem, using those hybrid headless capabilities to be able to track, respond, and to personalize the customer experience. So let's take a look. So on the left-hand side here, we're looking at the admin user interface of Xperience by Kentico if you haven't seen it before. It's written in React and you will notice the speed and UX investments that we've made, so it's even more low code, no code and time saving for marketers than it's ever been before. These tiles that you can see on my dashboard are representative of the applications or modules that we have available for developing and managing your websites, your content, your customer contacts, emails, and other digital marketing channels. First up today, we're going to be focusing though on the content types, content hub, and pages application with a little bit of a look at the preset page templates as well. But before I do that, I'm going to briefly talk about the headless API that is running underneath. As you can see, I have opened up a query tool, which is enabled in developer mode. That helps me to be able to query the headless API. In contrast to Kentico Xperience 13's more traditional developer-centric REST API approach, it's worth noting that Xperience by Kentico's hybrid headless capability for content delivery works natively out of the box for GraphQL and is built from the ground up to be an integral part of the Kentico DNA. So we released a preview version of the headless capability late last year, and the production version is coming out this year, so stay tuned for that. The beauty of this capability is that developers can query the content hub and fetch exactly what they need. Not only is this a more secure approach because you're not overfetching the data, but it also makes it easier and more performant to work with. It also means that you can mix and match your digital channels. So you can put your MVC websites as well as all of your headless websites and all of the other types of things that you want to utilize within the same solution. So really the world is your oyster here. Moreover, as a tech-savvy marketer or developer, it means I can actually start creating the content types to be consumed by the headless API straight away and start building out all of those content items and using them across my headless and digital marketing channels even before my MVC website is even complete. So it provides us with a lot more flexibility and usability from day one. So how do I create a new content type? The content types application, as you can probably guess, is an extension of the page types application that you would know from various previous versions of Kentico. Except of course that we've busted out of that web-centric kind of page limitation for the application, and we're providing this feature now for all different content types so that we can focus on creating types not only for pages, but for also different types of content that are going to be utilized independently, either within the pages or within other kinds of digital marketing channels. So this particular application is designed to help developers and marketers to define the data structure for all of these different types of content. And it's just using a simple field editor. So let's say the Dancing Goat Coffee Company has decided to start running a lot of events and doing some coffee food pairing kind of work. So here is the field editor where I've already had an event content type set up within the system, and I have a number of content items or kind of workshops, if you like, that have already been set up in my content hub using this particular content type. But they haven't done the recipes yet, and they want to be able to recommend recipes across their mobile applications and feature them on the front page of their website as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the recipe content type that I've already started creating. And we can query that within the query tool, and we can see that the data structure is already available within the API. So I'm going to add a a new field, which is just simply, say, for example, the number of servings of this particular recipe. And very quickly, using the field editor, I have been able to configure that. I can even move this around. And then if I update and run the query again, you can see that that's already been added and available. So now that I've finished my, my recipe content type, it means that I can start populating that with all of my new recipe content items in the hub. So while we're still looking at the the API though, I mentioned a little bit earlier that we also had the event content type, and that had a number of content items that were already available within the content hub. So what we can actually do is we can run a query of the event collection, and we can call back very specific information. So here I've just created a query and I've said, look, I want to have a look at the content collection. I want to know all of the items that are in that content collection by name. And I want to know what is the associated hero banner images for each of them and their names and URLs. So I just simply run the query, and that's going to bring back not only the names, but we can also see that the links are also included as well. So lots of information very quickly. So I will close that now. Don't need that anymore. So that's everything for the content types. So what about the content itself? So in Kentico, in Xperience by Kentico, we are separating design from content. So the new content hub that we introduced recently at the end of last year marks the first step towards our strategic vision of contextualized content composition, reusable content, and in the future also native digital asset management. In the refresh late last year, it could only be used for storing structured data. But in the January release, it will incorporate media files as well, so that all content can be centrally managed and personalized and created within the Content Hub. We can also create new content items from within the various different builder applications, such as the Page Builder. This is the pre-release build that I'm using today, so it's really, really fresh. So it's there's still even some additional things to put into the release before it goes out. But I thought that I would use it today so that we could start seeing these new functionalities and give you a little bit of a glimpse into the January refresh. So now when I look into the Content Hub, I can create a new content item. And it's going to be utilizing the content types that I've already created. As you can see, my recipe content type is there, and so is the event content type that I was speaking about earlier. And also there is the new media content type that I'm going to use to create basically any kind of media file that I want. So video, image, PDF, whatever. Now, I'm going to preempt your question, but what about the media libraries? Is it going to be sunset? So the answer is yes. Over the next 12 months, you'll be able to continue to use the media libraries in conjunction with the Content Hub, or you can just use the Content Hub on its own. By default, the Dancing Goat sample site uses the Content Hub because that's the direction that we're going in. So it's the centralized content storage. So in this case, for my recipes, I would fill out my fields, and when I go to select the media item, it's actually pointing to the Content Hub and providing that particular content item selector. In the January refresh, as I mentioned, you'll also be creating new media items from to be stored centrally within the Content Hub, so you can do all of that pre-population, for content that you want to be able to reuse across all of your different digital marketing channels. So I've already gone through and created a content item that is a media file. It's using our media content type, and it's basically just an image, but it's an image that I want to reuse in a number of different locations. So this is Jessica Chastain, and she's our coffee reseller extraordinaire. So this particular media asset is going to be used a little bit later, so I've published it here for use everywhere. So does the Content Hub work with Pages and Page Builder to help editors visually create and manage their MVC web pages using reusable content? Well, of course it does. So let's take a look at the pages. So here I am on the Content tab of the Dancing Goat homepage. This is the MVC site. And from the aspect of structured content, we are using a few of the reusable content types. And in most cases, we have populated a number of different items against them. So for example, we looked at earlier, we have some events, and we can see that there are a number of different events that I could select. Here I have chosen Brew Your Business to be featured on my homepage. But in the case that I don't have very many content items, I want to stay in context and actually create the new content item from here. So in this case, I'm going to use that media file that I had created in the Content Hub a little bit earlier. So I'm very quickly going to write a testimonial, and here is my connection to the Content Hub. So it's very, very similar. In fact, it's exactly the same process as the editors have been using previously. It's just rather than selecting from the media library, they will be selecting from the Content Hub. So I'm going to pick my image of Jessica, click Save over here. I will save that as well. So I can see that that's now in draft mode. It hasn't been published yet. So in the Content Hub, I'm just going to publish out the reference, which is different to the media file type. And now that that is published, I can make that available . And that's how we work with the reusable structured content in Pages. However, having all of this centralized reusable content doesn't mean that editors have to sacrifice their natural editing process. If we switch into the Page Builder view, let me go to Edit. You can see that the editors still have all of the rich visual editing tools and widgets, the sections, etc., that they love to work with. This is really one of the most loved features of the product. And as you can see, all of those capabilities are still there. Makes them really easy to use. In the January refresh, the change that we have made is that the Page Builder has been updated to enable you to select the reusable content from within the Content Hub. So for example, here on my hero banner, when I open up the properties of the background image, I can actually select from the Content Hub something different than I have already, or I can create something new and kind of immediately add it in. Personalization on widgets is all still in place, so I can create a contact group, and I can associate a particular linked content item with that contact group. So whenever they arrive on the page, they're seeing the most appropriate content for them. The ability to personalize these widgets basically exactly the same process as it has been. We're just using the link content hub assets. That's the only change. So at the moment, editors can't edit the linked content items directly within the page builder application, but this is going to come. It's just a temporary situation. It's one of the many additions that we're going to be incrementally adding to the content hub, including other things like filtering, faceted search, and something I'm really keen about, which is the smart folders. Not too long ago, we added the preset page templates so that I can actually build a page and save it as a template that can be used again. For example, let's take this landing page, and if I decided to create a reusable template out of it, I could do that, and it would actually save not only all of the sections and the widgets within the page, but it would also save the linked content items as well. So that means that if I went into my new page and new landing page, if I select my template that I've established, it would immediately create a new landing page utilizing that template, and as you can see, it has everything already in place, and all I would just need to do now as an editor is go through and change all of my link content items to something that's more appropriate for the campaign that I happen to be running. So that's a quick content management update for the January refresh 2023. Please stay tuned for more, and we look forward to getting your feedback very, very soon.